giving them a pH of 6 to 7. What's up everyone, Fish Shop Matt here. So I hope you're all doing well on this fine and well sunny day in England. You can see it's sort of beaming through already, and it's only, I think it's about 7:30 in the morning, so it's still quite early. Loads of you in the comments last time asked for rams. It was easily by far the most popular suggestion. Unfortunately, we're about a week away from getting all of our dwarf cichlids in. So the ones that we've got over there are the last couple and the last few pairs. So I want a good group of them to be able to do all the colour forms and yeah, chat about rams in depth. So we're going to do that one in a week or two's time. One of the ones that loads of you asked for, or the second most popular one I suppose you would say, was Harlequin Rasboras. So I suppose, without further ado, oh no, hang on, wait, remember, subscribe, like, comment. But anyway, Harlequin Rasboras, let's do it. Now I believe that Harlequins are a really good choice for the beginner. They're extremely hardy, extremely colourful, and just a real nice fish that doesn't stop you from sort of picking any other fish in a later date. You know, they'll get on with most community-based fish. Now that being said, I think a lot of people overlook the Harlequin. A lot of people that have been in the hobby a while probably sort of see Harlequins in the majority of shops that they go to, and they just sort of walk past them. But I believe it's really worth giving them the time, giving them a big tank and a big shoal, to actually let them bring out their full colours and really show off to each other. I think, you know, I think a lot of people miss out on the opportunity of keeping a lot of these classic fish because they end up going for the weird and the wonderful and the, you know, the newest, rarest fish. But I think some of the classics you really need to revisit. Firstly, what are Harlequin Rasboras? I suppose, what are Rasboras? Now, Rasboras are a small species of shoaling fish from Asia. All of the species are, yeah, sort of documented from Southeast Asia and South Asia. Now, you can sort of think of them a little bit like a Asian equivalent to a tetra, really. Whereas all your tetras come from Africa and America, all of your Rasboras come from Southeast Asia, and the majority of them, if not all of them, are small, shoaling, really peaceful species that are good for community aquariums. There are a couple of man-made strains of Harlequin in the hobby. You've got the sort of what people will call the black or purple Harlequin, which has got that blacky sort of purpley tinge to the body, a little bit darker in colour. And then you've got the golden Harlequin, and as the name suggests, they're a little bit more goldy, and the orange is a little bit more golden colour. As for distribution, they're coming from Malaysia, Thailand, Sumatra, Singapore. They're all coming from the bottom area of sort of Asia, really. Now, in the wild, they're inhabiting blackwater streams, pools, and they're from quite foresty or swampy and marshy areas. These are going to be thick in vegetation, thick in plant matter, you know, decomposing leaf litter in the bottom of the waterway. Twigs, branches, giving you that real sort of black water look. I've read quite a few reports that sort of say it's very much like the Amazon. You know, when you see those dark and black water streams and rivers in the Amazon, they relate the Harlequin Rasbora's natural habitat back to those. Temperature-wise, they aren't too picky, keeping them at normal tropical temperatures to 22 to 26 degrees. Absolutely fine, no problems at all. As for water quality, given good clean water, they'll thrive. They're really not that picky, and it's really not that hard to keep them. You know, give them a pH of 6 to 7. I have read them in the wild being down to like 5 and really low pHs, but give them a pH of 6 to 7, no problems at all. They'll thrive in your aquarium. So when it comes to groups and sizes of the Harlequins, they're only getting to around 5 centimetres, so they're not a massive fish. That's actually 2 inches. I know 5 centimetres, roughly 2 inches. Didn't even have to look that one up. But yeah, they're getting to around 5 centimetres. And in the wild, they've been seen shoaling in their hundreds. So the bigger group you can keep in the aquarium, really, the better. That being said, minimum group size, I'd be going for really 6 and above. Any less, you're probably not going to get a great shoaling sort of interaction out of them. They're not going to work how they would in the wild. So minimum 6, but maximum, sky's the limit. However many you can literally fit in your aquarium. Now, thinking about their natural habitat, to get the best out of these fish, you're going to want to provide them with a lot of planting, or at least a lot of places to retreat to and make them feel confident. The more confident these guys are, the more colourful they're going to be, the better sort of interaction and character you're going to get out of them. That being said, if you wanted, you could go down the leaf litter and the botanicals route as well. So you could scatter in some leaf litter and really try and recreate their natural habitat in the aquarium with botanicals. You know, seed pods, leaf litter. Yeah, it'd look really cool with that sort of mixture of the two. Down in the bottom corner, actually, MD Fish Tank's done a, I don't know what he called it, I think he called it a hybrid aquarium, where it was like a little bit of botanicals and a little bit of planting. That would work an absolute treat for the Harlequin Rasbora. When it comes to tank mates for the Harlequin Rasbora, they are super chilled out. They're generally not very nippy, they're normally very peaceful when it comes into a community aquarium. So mixing them, you can pretty much mix them with any other community species. Good shoaling species to mix them with if you're not worried about keeping it to the same sort of area or continent. You can mix them in with other tetra species, you know, Rummynoses and neons and X-ray tetras. All of those guys would mix in absolutely fine with the Harlequin. Maybe if you wanted to keep it sort of the same sort of area or the same sort of continent, you can have a look at other Rasbora species. You know, there are loads, like little Asian Rummynoses, and what else am I thinking of? Mosquito Rasboras. There's tons and tons of little species that you'd be able to mix in with them that are chilled out and shoaling. When it comes to bottom dwellers, again, anything peaceful, anything chilled out. Corydoras would be a really good choice to go in with them, alongside some of your smaller loach species. So things like the little zebra loaches, the little hovering zebra loaches. They're a cool little species and they would get on absolutely fine. If you've got a larger aquarium, you could even mix in sort of a focal point fish. So maybe a gourami would be a good choice for you. You know, something like the pearl gouramis. They're a really nice fish. They get a little bit bigger, but they're not going to bother the harlequins, and the harlequins aren't going to bother them. So if you wanted a bit more of a focal point, you could mix them in with a larger species of fish, just as long as they don't get too big and too bitey, essentially. Feeding's really easy and simple on the harlequins. Any decent quality flake food, smaller granular food, things like frozen bloodworms, frozen daphnia, anything like that is going to be readily accepted. Again, with any fish, keep it varied, keep it mixed. We would all get bored of eating the same thing every day, all day. So just give them a good, varied diet, decent quality food, you'll be fine, no problems at all. Now, when it comes to sexing and breeding, they aren't the easiest. I didn't know how much of this to put in, so I'll record a lot of it and we'll see how much of it ends up in the video. When it comes to sexing harlequins, males will be a little bit slimmer, a little bit more slender. Females will be generally a bit broader and a bit rounder, just because of where they're sort of holding more eggs and they've got to be a little bit of a bigger, bulkier fish. Now, when it comes to breeding and raising the young, that's where it gets tricky. I've never done it personally myself. I've never really looked at doing it. From the reports I've read over the years and sort of remembering a few of them, I actually looked up a couple of them last night just to see. A lot of people are saying you need really, really soft water. So you're looking at pHs of like 5, 5.5. And a lot of people end up using like peat pellets in the filtration. You could probably use a lot of botanicals now to get that same effect. But yeah, real soft water, real black water aquarium to get them spawning. As for getting the Harlequin Rasbora into spawning behaviour and getting them sort of ready for it, really it's just going to be, again, good clean water, good amounts of food, and just making sure they are the best and well looked after fish that you can. Once they start spawning, what you'll find is they will spawn on the undersides of broadleaf plants. So I would expect things like Amazon swords or Anubiases, or possibly some of the larger crypt species would be all good choices to try and get into a breeding setup for the harlequins. And where those plants are sort of overhanging, the harlequins are going to lay them on the underside of the leaves. So around 24 hours after the eggs have been laid, you'll find they'll start to hatch normally, depending on temperature of the aquarium, but around 24 hours. After, normally 2 or 3 days after that, the babies will be free swimming, will have got rid of their sort of yolk sac, and they'll be ready to feed. That's where another tricky thing comes in. Feeding baby harlequins is not an easy game. They really need infusoria, which is like one of the most smallest fry foods that you can make at home. Might do a video on that at a later date. I'm not going to go into it in this one because this is just the fish file on these guys, but I'll go into making infusoria for baby fish in a later video. But yeah, they're really going to need that real small fry food when they're really, really young. And then you're just going to, as they grow, you're going to be working up through the sizes of foods, maybe some baby brine shrimp when they're a lot older. And just as they grow, growing the size of food with them. I'll be honest, unless you want a supreme challenge, I'd leave harlequins to the professionals. Buy them from your local shop. You know, they're really not that inexpensive a fish. They're sort of quite an affordable fish, really. But yeah, buy them from your local, trustworthy, beautiful fish store and you'll be absolutely fine. There we go. Another one down. Another million, maybe 2 million species to go. I don't know, whatever it's going to be. It's going to be a long, long process. This beard is going to be much longer and much greyer by the time I finish this series. Hopefully you've enjoyed it. It's been good fun. I hope I got all the information in. I've been your host, Fish Shop Matt. Have a lovely day. Peace.